the Brazilian government has held an emergency meeting as protesters said they were preparing a new wave of rallies following demonstrations across the country involving more than 1 million people. President Dilma Rousseff held the emergency cabinet meeting on Friday amid mounting pressure over the quality of public services and the high cost of staging the World Cup. Protesters said they were planning fresh demonstrations in Rio de Janeiro for Sunday. An estimated 1.25 million people took part in about 80 rallies across the country of 194 million people in an intensification of the movement which started 2 weeks ago to protest at public transport increases. Police fired tear gas in Rio de Janeiro, scene of the biggest protest where 300,000 people demonstrated near City Hall, to disperse stone-throwing protesters. At least 2 people had died in incidents related to the protests and 40 people were injured in the Rio clashes. CBN Radio and the website of the Estado de São Paulo newspaper, both respected, mainstream media carried reports on Friday speculating on the suspension of the Confederations Cup, an 8-nation football tournament considered a dry run for next year's World Cup. Al Jazeera's Adam Rainey, reporting from Rio de Janeiro, said that the government was banking on the World Cup and the 2016 Olympic Games, but many people did not care about either of the major sporting events and many did not want the World Cup. Rainey said that it was still unclear what had been decided in the cabinet talks about the rallies. However, Gilberto Carvalho, the president's chief of staff, said that the demonstrations were calling for change. They signal popular dissatisfaction, Carvalho said. This big group of Brazilians who emerged from exclusion to become consumers want new rights and this is all good. Violence in Brasilia. In the capital Brasilia, security forces including military police blocked protesters trying to break into the foreign ministry building and throwing burning objects. In São Paulo, an estimated 110,000 people flooded the main Avenida Paulista to celebrate the fair rollback and keep the pressure on Rousseff's leftist government to increase social spending. The protests have escalated into a wider call for an end to government corruption in the world's 7th largest economy, a call prompted by resentment over the $15 billion cost of hosting the Confederations Cup and the World Cup. Those opposing the hosting of the World Cup are planning a march to Rio's Maracanã Stadium on June 30, the day of the Confederations Cup final. Protesters say they want higher funding for education and health and a cut in salaries of public officials. They are also protesting against what they viewed as rampant corruption within the political class. About 15,000 people, most of them in their 20s, gathered just before dusk on Thursday the Alfonso Pena thoroughfare in Belo Horizonte to highlight economic issues against corruption, but a prompt police response of rubber bullets sent them scuttling for cover. Recife and Salvador rallies. Thousands more marched in Salvador, the capital of Bahia state, and Recife. Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo, reporting from São Paulo, said police in Recife said that marches there attracted more than 100,000 people, while a small protest in the northeastern city of Salvador resulted in clashes between police and protesters. Many marching against corruption and the cost of the 2014 World Cup are also angry at the media, including the influential Globo network, accused of belittling their movement. In São Paulo, Globo TV crews have been jeered while covering protest rallies, and on Tuesday demonstrators set the satellite van of another station ablaze. Social media networks have been key to the organization of the mass protests, with demonstrators using the slogan "It's more than just 20 cents, a reference to the bus fare rises, to rally people to their cause. The movement has no political hue and no clear leadership.